Hey, Abnormal Family. Well, I got one last I'm going to drop. I've had this one for a while, and a viewer had sent it in, and finally getting to it in the emails. He wants to remain anonymous due to people will know who he is, he said, if you say his name because of the job he does. I hope everybody's ready for tomorrow night for the live and for the drop for the membership, and then also I'm doing a live the next day on the 2nd at 5 o'clock p.m. for all my other subscribers. Uh, that's going to be the main video drop. Will actually be the second. The first midnight will just be for the membership. But anyways, this is what he sends in. I want to share it with you guys. It's going to be, I think, a good encounter, and y'all probably enjoy it. I enjoyed it. The incident happened in late summer 2018. It was in the mountains of North Georgia. I'm a surveyor with 20 years experience in Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, North, and South Carolina. So I'm extremely comfortable in the woods as I spend so much time outdoors, most of the time being very far back in the forest. And a great deal of it is the national forestry land, where you don't see anyone for days at a time. On this day it happened, I was surveying a piece of property around a small Corps of Engineers lake bordering a large tract of national forest land. I was operating a robotic survey total station transit, which means you don't need a partner to run a survey crew, and instead of having two or three people on a crew, you generally work alone. The property was fairly large, approximately 500 acres, made up of mostly steep mountains, and acres mostly dense. I had just finished up cutting a traverse line along the property, running to the top of the ridge, roughly 350 to 400 feet away with my machete. Traverse lines are typically about 5 foot wide, and I cut as close to the ground as possible to ensure a line of sight for the instrument. I just walked back down the slope to get uh, lost my there we go. I traversed the top of the ridge when I noticed someone or something hairy wearing what and he had to redact some of this. I just walked down the slope to get ready to traverse at the top of the ridge when I noticed someone or something wearing what I originally thought was what of a slowly walk across the opening that I had just made a few minutes earlier and stopped to look at me. It had a large hand reaching up to grab a tree limb it was next to. At the time, I thought someone must have been walking or hiking the top of the ridge, as it's not uncommon to see people from time to time. But then I realized it was way too hot to be wearing a large shaggy brown jacket as it was in the high 90s. And as it stared down the hill at me, I could uh, make out pointed ears on top of its head, a long snout. Then it slowly walked out of sight. At this point, I took my headphones, and I would have too, that would be really, really scary, and started paying closer attention to the situation. As I took out my headphones, I realized it was dead silent in the woods, and in Georgia during the summertime, it's always extremely loud with insects. I waited a few minutes and walked to the top of the ridge to grab my equipment that I seriously considered leaving. And I see what was going on and noticed disturbed vegetation leading in the direction I saw it walking. Thinking harder about what was happening, I realized that the lower limbs of the tree I saw it walk behind as it went out of sight was right around 6 foot tall. And what I originally thought to be jacket fur was when it all set and I got scared. I could hear something. What was happening? I realized that the lower limb of the tree I saw and I originally thought to be a jacket was fur. That's when it all set in. Yeah, it's really starting to set in on him now. Who would it not be? I could hear something moving in the short distance coming from the area it walked to, so I decided to start making the 45 to 50 minute walk to the truck. I could hear movement up in the ridge parallel above me. During my walk back, I didn't think, man, you're out there alone. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be alone 50 minutes away from a vehicle and there's something tracking you. I know what that feels like, and it's scary. Uh, I didn't think it was moving in reaction to me necessarily, although I wasn't willing to wait around and find out. I made it to the truck, and since then I've only uh, told 2 people about my experience. That was pretty much it as far as the encounter goes. I know it wasn't a bear as I've been around them my whole life, and I see them from time to time. I've definitely been in the deep woods on several occasions and experienced all sounds and signs of life just disappear at the top of a hat. It takes on a new significance now. I carry a pistol every day, and on some occasions a short rifle if the job calls for it due to bears, wild dogs, finding illegal pot growing operations, etc. But I can definitely say it brought me zero comfort that day. I was scared to the very core, and I have a new sense of respect for the woods now. I would advise that if you work alone, to thing. I advise if you work alone in the woods, please pay attention to your surroundings. I think a lot about what might have happened if I hadn't looked up when I did, or if I had been a little slower walking back down the hill, as I probably very close to it with my back turned before walking downhill with my headphones and listening to Joe Rogan. If it wanted me, it wouldn't be here today. I firmly believe I was within mere yards of it upon the ridge with no idea I was being shadowed by a monster. People go missing all the time in the woods and are never seen again. I believe I know what takes some of them. I know what it takes. Whether you believe me or not is of no consequence to me, but it took me a long time to feel comfortable telling anyone about my experience. If it helps one person pay attention in the woods, I'm happy to be called crazy over it. Stay safe and please watch your kids in the woods above anyone else. God bless. Sorry about the way that ran in, guys. The computer, for some reason, was double copying, and I don't know why it done that. But yeah, this guy had been out in the woods like that alone, 15 minutes away from the vehicle. Sounds to me like he had a dog man following him, werewolf. I prefer to call them werewolves. Uh, Sounds to me like he might have been stalked if he wouldn't have took his earphones out. He would have been, I think, probably its prey. He was vulnerable, and when he took his earphones out, he became invulnerable, and I think that may have been the only thing that saved him. Hey, I appreciate y'all watching. I look forward to spending time with y'all on the live tomorrow night, 10:30 p.m., and then on the second at 3:30 p.m. We'll see you guys there. I appreciate it, and until next time, don't be something's dinner.